Hey y'all, this is Jessica with Bless Your Heart. Let's do a Sunburst Tumbler today. I have had this yellow Arctic tumbler in my stash forever, so let's do something with it today. I just went to Creative Fabrica and found this Sunburst stencil. I cut it out of Hobby Lobby stencil vinyl and I'm placing it on my transfer tape that has the grids on it because we're going to try to keep everything nice and straight and even today. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work it around. There is that curve, so that's going to be a little bit of an issue with us, but I think we'll make it work. I'm going to start with the hinge method, and I'm going to start at the very bottom, adhering all of my little bursts. And I'm going to end up cutting each one with my X-Acto knife through the middle of the pattern and physically placing each one of those bursts by itself, because it's not going to go around that curve like I want it to. And here we are, and I don't dig it. So I'm going to use this line as a guide to cut them all off, and basically this is the bottom of that curve. When I'm finished with all that, I'm going to use Mod Podge as my adhesive today, and the glitters I'm going to use are West Texas Glitter Pumpkin Pie and Sunshine. I'm going to use Create by Firefly Phyllis, and then for the white I'm going to use West Texas Glitter Snowflake. I'm going to go in full coverage with this Mod Podge on the entire tumbler. We're going to try to attempt a decent ombre, but you don't want to go in and not cover some of it just in case. So we're going to start with our darkest glitter at the very top, and we're going to turn our tumbler when we get ready to do our fade to almost a 45. We're going to go with our mid color in the middle, and I'm going to turn it towards my hand at a 45-degree angle, and then I'm going to turn it away from my hand at a 45-degree angle. Then we're going to go in with the lightest yellow, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go kind of middle where we're going to have that white, and we're going to kind of not exactly as a 45 because we have that curve, but we do want a tilt both ways. And then when we get to the bottom, we're going to take that snowflake and we're going to go full coverage on the bottom, and we're going to go a little bit heavy into that sunshine color just to help our blend look a little bit better. Once we are happy with all of our glitter, we're going to remove our stencil and set this aside to let that Mod Podge dry. And now that we're dry, I'm going to go in and I'm going to take Mod Podge in this little kind of detail brush, and I'm going to go in just those little sunburst patterns, and I'm going to just use Snowflake. What I'm trying to do is bring that white out, but also kind of accent that burst pattern a little bit, and we're going to see what we get. When I get that done, I take a look at it and I'm just not digging it still. So I'm going to go in and extend that burst pattern like we had in the beginning, but this time we're going to make it work. So what I'm going to do is just extend those little white burst pieces all the way to the top with this detailed type painter's tape. When I have that finagled how I want and everything else, I'm going to take a thicker piece of painter's tape, and the inside of all of those blue lines that we just created, I'm going to completely mask off, and then I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to spray paint it white. Once we come back in and our paint is dry, I'm just going to use just a normal glue that I normally use, and I'm going to paint inside of all of those little places I just spray painted white, and I'm going to add Snowflake to all of those. Once I do this, I'm going to remove all of my masking tape, and I'm going to look at it again, and we're going to see where we're at. Once I get that off and look at it, I do like this a lot better. So I did add a decal, but we're going to address that in a minute. So I keep a file in my Silhouette Studio of these lines, and there's 3 different sizes, and I just cut a 12 by 12 sheet whenever I'm starting to run low, and I keep them on hand. So for this striping, I'm going to use this textured gold vinyl, and I'm going to use my middle stripe, my middle size, and I'm going to go inside and outside each of this burst pattern and line them with this size of this gold textured vinyl. Once I have the gold laid down, I'm going to go in with the thinnest of this black textured vinyl I have, and I'm going to place it directly on top of that gold vinyl, and I am going to do this on all sides of that burst pattern. So when I get done with that, we are going to address this decal. When I put a layer of epoxy on it, it lifted horribly. So I am going to just take a super sharp craft knife, and I'm going to wiggle it underneath all that lettering, and I'm going to pull this decal off. Now, once you do this, you have kind of broken that seal. So you need to make sure that you sand all those areas and you have absolutely no lifting, or you will create a bubble and it will not look right. You will be able to see it under the epoxy and it will be a weakened spot in your cup. You want to clean it off with your rubbing alcohol and make sure that you do not see any lift spots, and you want to move on to the next step if you're happy with that. My next step is to finish out my striping with something along the bottom. So I'm going to use my thickest gold, and I'm going to line the entire bottom minus that little sun pattern, and then I'm going to take my mid size of my black and lay it over the top of that, and then I'm going to epoxy until smooth. And here we go. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope to see you again soon. Bye.